Hey, what up anyone is watching? This is View with Ice, the channel for anime and TV show related content, and today we are going to be looking at part 3 of the best showcases of power in One Piece. I think I'm going to start this list off with something way back, and that will of course be Zoro versus 100 bounty hunters at Whiskey Peak. With all of the other Straw out of commission after falling for the trap of these bounty hunters, Zoro was the only one left to take them on. Zoro then proceeded to demonstrate exactly why he is the number 2 on the Straw ship in terms of power, as he with ease defeated 100 bounty hunters all by himself. This battle would also later on be the reason why he got his first bounty of 60 million berry, a bounty even bigger than Luffy's first bounty that he got after defeating Buggy, Don Krieg, and Arlong. I wouldn't really call this a fight for Zoro. It was basically just an inconvenience, but it was definitely one of his best moments. Zoro let Tashigi fight Monet one-on-one and sat the fight out, but when he saw Tashigi was in danger, he stepped in. He could of course cut her, as he demonstrated when he cut her face when he saved Tashigi, but instead he used his animalistic nature coupled with fear and cut her in half without hug. Just the realization that he could have killed her if he wanted to scared her so much that she couldn't even control her body and reform herself. It even surprised Tashigi, as this was the first time she ever saw someone getting defeated in this manner. Nightmare Luffy is a transformation we might never see again, because it is only possible when Moria's Devil Fruit ability is involved. What is so impressive with the creation of this form was that it was only possible to be created after Luffy absorbed 100 shadows, when normal people could only contain 2 or 3 shadows at the most, this just displaying Luffy's incredible willpower. Luffy was able to stop an attack from Oars with only one hand. He then proceeded to take on the monster like it was nothing, where the entire Straw Hat crew teamed up before and still had a very difficult time with the giant. There was a time limit to this ability, but if there weren't, Luffy could have easily defeated Oars and Moria without the help of the rest of the Straw Hat Pirates. Hawkeye Mihawk is easily one of the strongest characters in the entire series, but just like a lot of the big powerhouses in One Piece, we have only seen him a handful of times, but each time he was shown with his sword in his hand, something incredible happened. Although at Marineford we only saw glimpses of him, we still got the privilege to see the strongest swordsman in the world in action. Like when he tested Whitebeard and sent a slash in his direction. Jozu stopped the attack, but it was still an impressive amount of damage that attack had done on its way to the Moby Dick. We also saw when he attacked Luffy how powerful he is. Luffy dodged his attack, but in the process that same attack cut down the mountain of ice of the frozen tsunami like it was nothing. And the thing that impresses me the most is the fact that throughout all of that, Mihawk never named any one of his attacks. One thing that I've learned about One Piece and anime in general, that if a character doesn't name his attacks, that just means that character isn't serious, and it also means that character is hiding his true ability, and that is exactly what Hawkeye was doing. He did all of that damage at Marineford, and he was never even serious. I just hope that I'll be alive the day Oda finally let this man go full out in the fight, because I am very interested to see the extent of his power. Ever since the Straw Hats came back together after 2 years apart, we finally got to see the true strength of the Straw Hat captain in his fight against Doflamingo. Before this, we only got to see things we have already seen before from Luffy, just with added haki. But on episode 726, we finally got to see the true results of his training with Rayleigh. What makes the transformation so impactful is the difference it made in how the entire complexion of the fight immediately changed when he went Gear 4th. It reminds me a lot of when Luffy went Gear 2nd for the first time against Bluenum. Doffy even laughed at this new form of Luffy, but that smile was easily erased from his face when Luffy landed the first punch, sending the former warlord flying. This was most likely the first time in a very long time that anyone has manhandled Doflamingo like this, because he was overconfident, even arrogant to a certain degree with his abilities, but the Straw Hat captain set him up with Gear 4th. In my first Showcase of Power video, I mentioned the fight between Whitebeard and Akainu, and in that fight, Akainu landed a fatal blow on Whitebeard where he basically burned all of his insides. Whitebeard defeated Akainu, but with a blow like that, you'd expect someone to die instantly. But Whitebeard was built different. He was from a different breed. Even after having his insides burned, he proceeded to fight the Marines, and while fighting them, he sustained even more damage, but he continued fighting. He even went on to fight the Blackbeard pirates, got some heavy blows in on Teats, almost to the point where he was about to kill his former son. The thing that impressed me the most was his durability and his endurance, because before he even went into this fight, he was already sickly. He was far from his prime. He was far from the Whitebeard of old, but he had altercations with Kizaru, Aokiji, Akainu, and he got fatal blows. He was also stabbed by Squado, and he still fought on like a monster to the very end, and then he proceeded to die while standing. When it comes to Enel/Eneru, I'm not gonna highlight a specific showcase of power. I'm just gonna talk about him in his entirety. This man literally came across as a god at first. His devil fruit ability mixed with his hunter/observation IQ really made him look and feel like an unstoppable character. He was able to extend his power all over the entire island of Skypiea, even using his power to smite other characters like a literal god from the sky. And this really made me question to how the Stryads were going to defeat this guy at first. Almost anything involving this man was a showcase of power in some way. I feel the only reason he lost the fight against Luffy was his arrogance. He had a literal god complex, and that is easily the biggest reason for his downfall. He single-handedly defeated Nico Robin, Viper, the Sky Knight, and Zoro, and he did it so effortless. He got careless in the fight as Viper was able to get a huge blow on him, essentially killing him, but he was able to restart his own heart with his devil fruit ability. Just another one of his incredible abilities that made him such an unstoppable force. He also possessed the power to destroy the entire island of Skypiea. Eneru is one of my least favorite characters in the series, but when it comes to displays of power, he is definitely one of the best. Next up, I'm going to be highlighting the former prison warden of Impel Down, Magellan. Impel Down is easily one of my favorite arcs in One Piece, and we get to see a lot of incredible things in the arc, but Magellan is easily the most incredible thing to come out of that storyline in terms of devil fruit ability. Just like Enel, I won't be highlighting a specific moment, but I'd rather just talk about him in general because of his devil fruit power. He possesses the Doku Doku no Mi, which makes him a poison man, and that is one of the most dangerous devil fruit abilities in One Piece. Luffy stood no chance against the former head warden of Impel Down. It didn't matter if Luffy used gear 2nd or gear 3rd, he was just no match for the prison warden. The Strayad captain landed some attacks on him, but all that did was expose him to the poison. If it weren't for Bon Clay and Ivankov, Luffy might have been captured, or he might have in fact just died in the prison. Magellan's biggest feat was when he was able to single-handedly defeat the entire Blackbeard crew. The argument could be brought up that Blackbeard can sometimes be reckless, but for him and his crew to be soloed by the Poison Man just shows us that Magellan was no joke. After almost being killed by Whitebeard, Blackbeard and his crew drove the final nails into the coffin of the already dying Yonko. Then he proceeds to do something that we all thought was impossible. Throughout the story, we have learned that people can only consume one devil fruit, but after throwing a seed over Whitebeard, Blackbeard emerges from said seed able to use 2 devil fruit powers. The details of what happened is still one of the biggest mysteries. What makes this even crazier is the fact that Teach already had a very powerful devil fruit with the Yami Yami no Mi, and he was able to defeat Ace with that power, and now he also possesses the power of Whitebeard, which automatically propels him to an entirely new level. He also displayed this power when he sent a Quake through Marineford, even more powerful than Quake's Whitebeard caused. This power up would also later be the reason for him to become a Yonko after defeating the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates. With over 1050 episodes, this is still one of the greatest moments to ever come out of the series. What makes it so much more impressive is the fact that before this happened, Zoro was already in a few big fights in this arc, taking on Oars and then having to fight the warlord Kuma one-on-one. He was far from 100%, yet he still took all of Luffy's pain and survived the ordeal. Kuma at first just gave Zoro a small taste of Luffy's pain, and that little bit looked like it was enough to kill the swordsman, but he prevailed. He then proceeded to take all the pain at once. This just emphasized how strong and how durable Zoro is, and it also displayed his loyalty to Luffy as he was putting his life on the line for his captain. If Zoro wasn't one of your favorite characters before all of this, he most likely turned into one, if not your favorite character after Thriller Bark.